Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for another road course race on the NASCAR 06 Total Team Control Busch Series season. It is the third one of the Busch Series season and the last of all three series combined for our first season of this game and this gameplay. Dale Jr. comes in second in points, 166 points out of first to points leader Clint Bowyer. Bowyer riding an absolute hot streak right now, pretty much all season long. He has not slowed up, still has over a one-race lead in the point standings with just 4 races to go. Can he hold on to that massive points lead, or can former two-time champion in the Busch Series Dale Jr. run him down to get his third career Busch Series title? We'll have to find out. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we are about to get into the Dairyland 350 at the Old Spice Speedway. As you see in the thumbnail, 233 laps on a road course. 1.5 miles is the length around this racetrack. It is going to be the longest race of the Busch Series season. I guarantee this race is going to be at least 3 to 3.5 hours, if not longer. So it is going to be a real test of endurance. This is about as endurance of a NASCAR race as you can get, especially in the Busch Series, where the races typically in the Busch and Truck Series are much shorter, but not tonight. So we'll see how this is going to play out. Dale Jr. did win the first race at the Old Spice Speedway earlier this year. That was a 200-lap race, and he did lead the most laps in that one. So a chance to go for the Old Spice Speedway sweep tonight and get his third road course win of the season. He has won the first 2 at Old Spice Speedway and also at Watkins Glen in the last dozen races. And Watkins Glen was a little tougher as he only led 2 laps in that race, but Old Spice Speedway led the most with 126 laps led. He's got to stay out in front, and to do that, he's going to have to qualify out in front, so we'll hop into qualifying right now. Wade Solinsky, R6, Davey Chumbler, Clean Racer, Toxic Punk, Young Boy, Noah Hall, Dark Crypto, and others, welcome into the stream as we are ready to go today. I'm excited for this race. I think it's going to be a heck of a challenge just to make it to the end of this long of a race, especially in the Busch Series, and especially with the backs up against the wall right now for Dale Jr. It's the furthest amount of points out of first that we are in all 3 series, but we still have 2 more races left in the Busch Series compared to the Cup and the Truck as well. So there's still time for Dale Jr. to catch Bowyer. And remember, Clint Bowyer finished outside the top 10 in the first Old Spice Speedway race on speed alone. So this could help Dale Jr. out, as Bowyer has not ran well on the road courses this season. Wants to go into Homestead with a shot, obviously. And if he can avoid Bowyer leading a lap, that would be beneficial. Tire management is going to be huge, as it is on most road course races, but especially in this long of a road course race. Overshooting that final corner in turn 8. This 8-turn, 1.5 mile road course. Qualifying is underway. Alan Barkley, thanks for tuning in. Kim Diaz, thanks for tuning in. 1990s, no, this is NASCAR 06. 2005 game. It's the same exact setup Dale Jr. ran in the first race at Old Spice Speedway earlier this season. Not off to a hot start in qualifying, but down into turn 3. That first of 2 hairpins on the racetrack, he's going to be using that apron all day long. You can really see that helped his qualifying lap because he didn't get through turns 1 and 2 perfectly by any means. But he is standing on the throttle, just has to get through turn 8. He's tracking for the pole as of right now. Into this final corner, pushes a bit wide just like on his warm-up lap. I don't think he's going to get the pole on lap 1. Will be ninth fastest, 47.126. He's going to have to pick it up in these first couple corners. This is where he's really going to have to pick it up if he's going to want to get the pole time. He's a lot better in the second half of the lap. Well, that was a little too aggressive. And so much for trying to get the pole today. I would assume Dale Jr.'s car is going to be faster in the race than what it was in qualifying. But this second lap is not going to be as quick as the first. Another mistake. I did not practice before the start of this, and I probably should have. I did have to work a full shift today and got home not that long ago, so didn't really have a chance to practice. That was a terrible second lap. Can't run laps like that in the race, that's for certain. That first lap was the quickest, not bad though. 9th quickest for Dale Jr. He'll be starting inside the top 10. Could be worse. Unfortunately, Clint Bowyer is starting on the pole. And again, he is the points leader by a pretty massive amount. So this is not a good start. But it is a long race. And even if Boyer does lead, I'm not worried at all. I won't be worried until we get to the late stages and Boyer's having a good day. And depending on where we are, I mean, we can only run our own race. Problem is with the Busch Series compared to the other two series, we only have one teammate. So we don't have as many laps of field pass racing to try and take advantage of it. But we'll see what's going to happen. Size thanks for tuning in as well. And let's get this race underway. Dale Jr. will be on the inside lane for the start. Green flag is going to be in the air. We are underway as there'll be 2x2 down the longest straightaway of the racetrack, heading towards turn 1 as across the bridge. Good launch for Clint Boyer at the front of the field. He is going to be able to hold clear. Little contact with the 133 car. He's going to go a bit wide off into the grass after running Dale Jr. a bit wide. It seemed like he just kind of overdrove the corner in turn 2. Truex going to lose a spot on the start as he was on that outside lane. John Hamilton to the inside of him for third. And Clint Boyer has already got about a 2 or 3 car length lead through turn 7 as they head for 8. And it'll be an opening lap lead for Clint Boyer to score 5 bonus points. Tony Raines about to be passed by J.J. Yaley in the 18 car. Raines stuck on the outside in the hairpin. 1 spot gain on the opening lap, though, for Dale Jr., so not bad by any means. Mark DeMars, thanks for tuning in. Boyer's been on autopilot like all season. Junior's got more wins than him, 10-8, but the races Dale Jr. wins, Boyer's right there in the top 5 towards the finish. He's finished second in 6 of the 10 races that Dale Jr. has won in. Aggressive move by Earnhardt to try and get by Raines, but he made contact with Yaley. If he didn't make the contact, he probably could have hopped in line in front of the 33 car. Jr. on the outside, hangs on to it. First, he's been around traffic, of course, but he has taken advantage. He'll have the inside lane, the preferred line, into turn 8 as he makes the pass on Raines for 6. So 2 passes that lap for Dale Jr. as Boyer continues to lead at the front of the field. Boyer must be using a Tesla on autopilot. I didn't realize he said Tesla the first time I saw that comment. Big run for Jr. Went to the inside in turn 2, but that's going to put him on the outside into turn 3 with Yaley. He's going to try to undercut the corner, really backed it up. Oh boy, big door slam. That's one way to pass Yaley for 5th. Another spot gain. He's passed at least 1 car a lap so far from the get-go. Dale Jr. looking a little bit faster in race trim, at least on the short run. Martin Truex Jr. desperately trying to get around the 19 of Bobby Labonte. Not able to do so. Labonte gaps him in turn 8. Patrick Chatterley, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate that comment as well. Vince Scully may be the greatest sports commentator of all time. I mean, the guy commentated a lot. A lot of different networks, too. Another pass made on another lap. John Hamilton gets blown by in turn 3 by Dale Jr. Jr. all over the back of his teammate Martin Truex Jr. Lurks to the outside, which will put him into the inside lane in turn 8. Locking the tires up quite a bit as he blows by the 8 of Truex for 3rd. 2 more spots gained that lap for Dale Jr. looking to pick up another spot on Bobby Labonte on lap 5. Dale Jr. wants the most laps led. He's got to get up there. He's got to challenge for the lead with Boyer. No holds barred these final 4 races. Jr. to the inside in turn number 2 with Labonte. He's going to undercut the corner. Same way he got around Yaley. Only no contact in turn 3. This time he'll pass Labonte cleanly for 2nd. Interested to see what kind of cautions we're going to see today. We've seen more cautions in the Busch Series compared to any of the other series, and with this being a very long road course race, it's going to definitely play an interesting strategy game, to say the least, throughout this one. 1.8 seconds off the lead for Dale Jr. Boyer's checking out in the early going. The Jr.'s going to try to drive him and run him down. 5 laps, so Jr. moves from 9th starting spot up to 2nd. Didn't get the most out of what he could in qualifying. Had that big mistake on lap 2. Prevented his 2nd lap from being faster than his 1st. And Boyer is a rival right now with Dale Jr. I kind of forgot. It's been a while since we've ran the Busch series on this game. And our next two NASCAR 06 streams will be Busch races, as Monday night will be our Texas race, the third to last race of the season. Jr. trying a little bit of a wider arc, but he couldn't get the car to turn all the way to the bottom. He was still quicker than Boyer that last lap by quite a bit. Fastest lap of the race for Jr., really his first lap with any sort of clean air in front of him. Honestly, of any commentator in any sport, like currently, obviously Mike Joy, you know, I think personally ranks up there, but as far as a plethora of different sports, I honestly think Jim Nantz is probably the best out there right now of current broadcasters. He still gets super, and I almost think he's honestly gotten better over the years than what he was even like 10 years ago. And he was good 10 years ago. Just seems like the older he gets, the better he gets. It's insane. Dale Jr. already less than a second off the lead. He's definitely quicker than Boyer. It's going to be hard to pass the car in the clean air, but we'll see if Dale Jr. can do it. He didn't go very deep to the apron in turn 3 that time, but he did get down there with his left side tires. I think by next lap in turn 3, he might have a shot to get by Boyer, although he made a mistake, though, in turn 5. So maybe he won't have a shot at Boyer in turn 3 next lap, because that cost him a little bit of time. Jr. locking the tires up in turn 8. He's got to be careful doing that this early in the run. He's definitely using those tires up quite a bit to get to Boyer in the early going. And Boyer was actually about a tenth quicker that last lap than Jr. with Jr.'s major mistake. In turn 5. Jr. trying to get that time back, so maybe now he's looking at lap 10 at potentially getting by Boyer. He's going to go a lot deeper into turn 3 this time. Closes that gap some more. And the rivalry, which has taken place pretty much over half the season between Boyer and Earnhardt. Same mistake again, 2 laps in a row for Earnhardt. Same corner. Just drove it off too deep in turn 5. Locked those tires up again into turn 8. Didn't lose as much time as the lap before. Appreciate you guys getting the like counter up to 10 so far today. With this being a really long race, let's see how many likes we could get. I'd like to see us get up to about 30 or 40. That'd be a pretty cool mark to hit. Don't usually see that a lot for the Busch and truck races because they're typically shorter, but not tonight. Interesting spot in the season to have this long of a race too, right at the end of the year. Boyer with a little bit of a defensive line in turn 8. Dale Jr. Oh, Boyer clipped the grass a little bit. He spins the tires in the middle of the corner. That's going to allow Dale Jr. to get a better drive off. Boyer trying to break the draft. He's shaking all over the place off the exit of turn 8. Into turn 1. Dale Jr. closing that gap on Clint Boyer. Drives it in deep. Boyer with a block. To the inside goes Earnhardt. Going to use the apron. Down into turn 3, all clear off the exit of the corner. From 9th to 1st in just 10.5 laps for Dale Jr. Junior Nation on their feet at Old Spice Speedway. He's going to get 5 bonus points for leading his first lap of the day. Boyer led the first 10 from the pole. But Dale Jr. is on a mission to try and dominate this race. And we'll see if he can pull away from the 2. Now he's going to break the draft. That was his fastest lap of the race yet. 47.039. Faster than what he ran in qualifying. I think Boyer was in the 46.9s if I'm not mistaken. I think he was the only driver in the 46s. Turn 3 is definitely the best corner for Dale Jr. It's going to be interesting as the run goes on and the tires get older and more abused over the course of the run if he's going to actually be able to cut the car down to the apron. But he's getting away with it early. He'll take care of the race car. And for the most part, great start for Dale Jr. Well, that's a big mistake in turn 2, and Boyer's going to get the lead. Third time Dale Jr. has clipped the wall on corner entry. That time it was in turn 2. Almost got back alongside Boyer. Very briefly, he might have. Jr.'s got the run, though. Side by side. Heading towards turn 8. Boyer goes high. Jr. ducks low at the last second. Good little undercut. And he doesn't actually give up the lap lead. He still gets back in front of Boyer off turn 8 with a clean pass. That was a great undercut move. Boyer blocked high, went down to the bottom, didn't lock the tires up that time. Boyer putting a lot of pressure on Dale Jr. though. Trying to force him into another mistake, in which Jr. did not make through turn 2 that time and gaps him in turn 3. I mean, it is just a 2-car breakaway. You can see on the track map on the upper right-hand corner of the screen just how far away the 81 and the 2 are pulling the rest of the field. It is absolutely insane. Next live stream on the channel. Also, don't forget, tomorrow night, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Southern 500 playoff opener for the Cup Series. I'll be doing live commentary of that 500-mile race, and it is on the USA Network, which is kind of a shame. I feel like the crown jewels should be on the big NBC network. I think all the races that have been on the big NBC network so far this year have been some sort of rain issue, except for Indy. I think Indy was the only NBC big network race that didn't have rain of some sort that moved it to another channel. And I know the first 4 playoff races are on USA Network as well. So if you're unable to watch it, or you just rather listen to my commentary over NBC's commentary tomorrow, then we'll watch the race together, whatever the case. Be sure to tune in. Should be a fun one. I will not be able to commentate the following weekend, as I will be at Kansas. But to make it up to you guys with going to the Kansas Speedway, Bristol, I will be commentating the Xfinity and the Cup race that weekend on Friday and Saturday night, which would be the round of 16 finale for the Cup Series. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that is the regular season finale for the Xfinity Series. Boyer blows an engine that's going to come down to who will be better in the final 3 races. Yeah, pretty much. Which would definitely make things really exciting. But I'll tell you what, Clint Boyer showing the speed. Oh, and I think he's... Oh, okay, never mind. I thought he overdrove the corner. I couldn't see him out of the rear view at first. He went wide, but that's just because he was trying to get back into the gas as soon as he could. Boyer's keeping pace with Earnhardt, but unless Earnhardt makes a mistake, it doesn't seem like... By that, I mean just undercutting the corner too much and clipping the guardrail. But Junior doesn't do that. He is pulling away from this 2-car. Slowly but surely, especially in turn 3, lap after lap after lap. He's pretty even with them everywhere else. But they get into turn 3, and there is no shot. Have just 2 field passes for 2 laps with Martin Truex Jr. in today's race, 2 laps apiece. So we're going to definitely try to take advantage of that. But it is way too early in the race, and he is, as far as we know, in 3rd or 4th right now. So we're definitely going to need the field to space out on a long green flag run first. We'll maybe get bunched back together on a restart before I even think about taking that first field pass. If I remember correctly, we can go anywhere between 50 to 60 laps on a full tank of fuel. So by those calculations, it should be a 3 pit stop race, potentially a 4-stop race today. And I think if the cautions come out, you just got to think about pitting. If you're at the front of the field, you won't go lap down if you short pit under green flag conditions, so that is good with this being a road course. But if you're far enough off the leader, you could potentially go a lap down. Power slide into turn 1 for Dale Jr. Lap 32 is going to be the first caution, calling it now. If there was a way for me to give you guys super chats, if that happened, I would find a way to do that. Unfortunately, it's not the case, so never mind. Oh, Boyer to the inside! There's contact! Boyer drove it in deep. Clipped Dale Jr., knocked him up into the outside wall. Jr. hangs on to the lead. Boyer might have gotten the worst of it, and now Bobby Labonte's going for second place on the 2. They're side by side through turns 1 and 2 right now. Boyer's going to be on the outside into 3, and Labonte might be able to take over second after Boyer's mistake. And nope, not quite. Boyer hangs on even on the outside in turn 3. Boyer charged it hard into the corner. Junior left the bottom open just enough for Boyer to squeeze in. Ace Moneymaker, thanks for tuning in. That sounds like an Ace Moneymaker line for the ZA Sports games, I'm not going to lie. Well, you were wrong, Asai Z. Caution's out for the first time today, lap 21. Definitely did not take long, considering how many laps are in this race for the first caution. Looks like trouble in turn 8. One car has backed into the outside wall, just losing a little bit of grip. Probably went into the corner too hot, lost the rear tires. And I cannot tell from this camera angle, both camera angles, who that was that spun. So that's going to be a mystery the rest of this race on who spun. But Dale Jr. going to keep his track position, continue to try and lead as many laps as possible. He'll stay out. And we'll have to wait on if anybody pits. And it sounds like they pitted behind Junior, unfortunately. Well, green flag back in the air, lap 25. That might be the worst camera angle in EA Sports NASCAR history. Junior with a bit of a power slide through turn 2 as he's trying to stay in front of the 2 of Boyer. A lot of pressure now on Dale Jr. And a main problem of why that is the case is because Dale Earnhardt Jr. has older tires compared to the rest of the field by about 21 laps. Which means he's going to have to pit before everybody else as well. The good news is, again, he won't have to worry about going a lap down. The bad news is Boyer trying to get back to the lead as both Junior and Boyer have led about the equal amount of laps. Junior maybe a couple more than the 2, at least to this point. They pulled a fight. That was definitely a Fox camera angle. It was the most Fox Sports thing I think I've seen out of EA Sports in these classic game playthroughs. One thing that would have made it better is if it was a car that flipped somehow. Despite it being a low corner speed, but if they would have flipped, that would have been the best thing. The most realistic Fox thing. They literally missed 2 flips this year. They missed the entire, I mean, there wasn't even a replay angle of Jessica Friesen's flip at Knoxville, and then the Daytona 500. They missed the flip live as it happened with Harrison Burton. They at least got replays of that one, but still. There's definitely a lot more pressure on Dale Jr. now than what there was before. Definitely tell those fresh tires are playing dividends Good news is for Dale Jr. is that he's got the clean air, so it's going to be a little bit harder to pass him unless he loses a spot. But if he does lose a spot, he might be in danger of losing more after that. Nope, it definitely wasn't Boyer or Labonte. That's one. It seemed like a car that was mid-pack, because we were over towards turn 3 when the caution happened. And it was in turn 8, which was the final corner. So we're about a half a track ahead of it. Boyer shaking around everywhere as Junior tries to block him inside, outside. Doesn't seem to matter. Through turn 2. Junior power slides into 3. Dale's holding on for right now. Break the draft immediately off the exit of turn 8. Boyer didn't get off the corner very well. Dale Jr. gaps him into turn 1. Wide angle into 3 that time for Dale Jr. Constantly trying different things in the early going of this race, seeing what works, what doesn't. Not bad in this long of an event. $350 miles on a road course tonight. A little over half a second lead for Dale Jr. in the 81. And it is just a 2-horse race for the championship. Third place in points, Martin Truex Jr. is almost 3 full races out of first. Which means if Boyer finishes about where he's running today, the only other driver in the final 3 races of the year that would have a shot at the title would be Dale Jr. And eliminate everybody else from contention. Let's face it, it's been a 2-horse race for the championship for probably the last dozen races or so, really since Dale Jr. won at Old Spice Speedway the first time around, which was the 22nd race of the season. Man. Starting to get back into the gas a bit too soon in turn 2. It's the second or third time he's had a power slide, but that was the worst of them so far at this point in this opening fuel and tire stint in this race. It's 3 caution laps also, by the way. Going to come in very interesting as far as the strategy game for Dale Jr. I think in this race, you avoid pitting under caution as much as possible and putting yourself back in traffic. Especially with Clint Boyer as high up in the running order as he is. It's probably going to be the play. Fastest lap of the race that last time for Dale Jr. ran a 46.911. That might have been the first lap time in the 46s, and it was a low 46.9. Obviously, with that caution, the field was starting to get spaced apart. That's going to eliminate a possibility of any cars going a lap down, at least through the first probably 60 laps or so. Guaranteed. Unless somebody has or will DNF. Junior's gapping Boyer, though. Impressive run so far from this restart for Dale Jr. Halfway on fuel at lap 33, so again, pacing about 60 laps on a full tank of fuel is what we're looking at. If you exclude the 3 caution laps that were ran during the only yellow back at lap 21. So it is likely to be a 3-stop race today. You're going to have to stretch out each run to make it a 3-stopper, so that's another incentive for Dale Jr. to not push that fuel tank overly far throughout today's race. Or I should say, to push it overly far, have one less stop than the rest of the field. The only good thing with Bowyer leading the lap already is Dale Jr. doesn't have to worry about him leading more if he starts to really pull away in the laps led category. We know Dale Jr.'s got a fast car that could get back through traffic. It's easily Dale Jr. and Clint Bowyer's race to lose. One of these two are probably going to go to victory lane the way the speed of their cars work, although there's still 200 laps to go, so anything can happen, obviously. That's pretty much what we're looking at right now. I would not doubt that this is going to be a 1-2 finish. And again, this could be another race that Dale Jr. can win and Bowyer can finish second. That is how strong Bowyer is. I wish I knew what his average finish has been this year. Ours is just over 11. But with him being a full race worth of points ahead of me, I would not doubt his average finish is like right around an 8 or a 9. It is ridiculous how good he has been this year. Literally pulling off video game numbers. 8 wins for a Busch regular. When you have Cup Series guys running every race, at least a few of them. Like Kenny Wallace, Bobby Labonte, Dale Jr., Martin Truex Jr. He's slowly gapped, or at least closed that gap between himself and Junior over the last few laps. 3 runs equals 180, yep. And we're not going to lap 240, which would have been the 4th stop. So I think if you're Dale Jr., you got to stick to that strategy. Even if you don't want to stretch it all 60 laps, if you pit every 58 to 59, as long as you go at least 58 laps, you're going to make it on 3 stops. That last run will probably be 59 laps, but we know he can go that far. At least pacing to go that far. And obviously that's with him not saving any sort of gas outside of during cautions. And the more cautions we get, the more likely he is to make it on 3 stops as well. And I'm sure we'll see more yellows today. Xfinity Series race isn't over yet? I thought it started at like 3 o'clock today. You mean to tell me an Xfinity race has been going on for 4 hours? That's insane. I thought Daytona was a long race and that was still clocked in right around 3 hours. Must have had a rain delay. I know it started because I saw highlight videos on YouTube of some of the stuff that's happened when I got home, but not a lot of it. Well, Bowyer closing back in on Dale Jr. Only for Jr. to gap him in turn 3 and get right back out to about 0.8 of a second ahead of the 2. It's still going, my goodness. How many laps are left? Oh, rain in the middle. Okay, I was going to say there had to have been a rain delay because I think the race is only 200 miles. Stage 2 with 13 to go. Gotcha. I was hoping the start of this race would be well after the fact. Oh. Well, power slide into turn 1. Junior didn't really undercut the corner that time. His car just kind of slid, which caused him to make that mistake that time around. A little costly. Gregson's dominating. He is really good at Darlington, though. 79 out of 148. About halfway. Perfect corner through turn 1 that go around. Turn 2, a little bit of a power slide when he tries to pick that throttle back up again, though. Handful of laps away from our longest green flag run of the race so far. Dale Jr., the only car still to hit pit road, because he did not pit during the first caution. A disadvantage with being the leader. He planned on staying out anyway, but the rest of the field pitted. It's still working out for him, though, because he's in the lead, and even when he pits, he won't have to worry about going a lap down with him running where he's at in the field. As long as his tires don't completely fall off the race car over these final 20 laps of this tire stint, he should be all right. Junior Motorsports dog walking the field. They pretty much have all season, collectively at least. Outside of Allmendinger and Gibbs, I mean, really all 4 cars are just so consistent on a week-to-week basis in the Xfinity Series for JRM this year. Probably the most consistent across the board with all 4 cars running full-time, at least. Junior Motorsports, maybe ever. Junior starting to pull back away from Boyer again, just over a 1-second lead. 1.3. Past halfway through lap 42. And definitely keep me updated on that Xfinity race. Appreciate it. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the early going of today's race. You would think 43 laps on a road course, it wouldn't be the early going anymore. It'd probably be about midway, if not most of the way finished. That is not the case today. A little undercut turn 1 by Dale Jr. That's a mistake made. That allows Clint Boyer to close the gap again on the race leader. But Jr. able to gap him in turn 3. Not as much as the couple laps before, though. That 1.3 second lead is definitely gone, as it's about a half a second difference now through turns 6 and 7. Second caution will be lap 56. Man. It's crazy how much of a wheel hop he gets in turn 1 from time to time. Turns 1 and 2, definitely the trickiest corners for Earnhardt today. Locks his tires up in turn 8, but he's not losing traction control when he does it. At least not yet. Definitely saw one car do that. That's where the only caution came out, was in turn 8. Junior did gap Boyer through 3 quite a bit that time, out to about a 9/10 of a second lead. Back to the start-finish line for lap 45. Fastest lap of the race that last time for Dale Jr., 46.7. It was either 6.3 or 8.3, but a 46.7 second lap time for Dale Jr. That was even with being super loose in turn 1. Pretty good through turns 1 and 2 this time around. Into 3, and fortunately Junior made a mistake in his best corner that time around, despite being really good through turns 1 and 2. Probably the largest lead of the day now for Dale Jr. all of a sudden, 1.5 seconds ahead of Boyer. Definitely still a 2-car breakaway though at the front of the field. Power slide into turn 8 for Dale Jr. Works his way back to the throttle off the exit. 47.05 won that last lap for that current lap time. Crazy, we're over half hour into the race, not even to lap 50 yet. It is going to be a long one today, ladies and gentlemen. I figured it was going to be, but my goodness. That power slide was a lot later off turn 2 compared to the power slides he's had before trying to get back to the throttle. Maybe it's just not easing back into the throttle and he's punching back into it too much. Doesn't seem like it matters exactly where he gets back into the gas. It's just how harshly he steps on the gas. That flat, sharp, angled, right-handed turn. We'll go back to the far chase cam for now. Lap 50 this time by. Quarter tank of gas left for Dale Jr. Fishtailing off turn 3. Stays in the gas. Boyer's starting to cut that gap down a little bit. Junior's definitely starting to lose a lot of traction control. That left rear tire in the yellow at this point in the run. Definitely burning out those rear tires. A lot of power sliding going on from that 81 so far. Made it to lap 50. Dale Jr. dominating at the Old Spice Speedway. Clint Boyer led the first 10 laps. Junior's led every lap since. Holding on a restart. Still about 20 lap older tires. So when Junior makes his pit stop, everybody else is going to stay out a bit longer. That's what it is likely looking like, unless they try to get back on the same strategy as Dale Jr. The field's going to maybe try to go off strategy with the 81 and stay off strategy with pitting that last and only caution of the race so far. May continue to do that under green flag conditions, just trying to do something different. Because this 81 looks untouchable, considering the fact, again, he's on older tires, and Boyer's not been able to get around it both before the restart on equal tires and since the restart on old tires for Junior, and obviously 20 lap pressure tires for Clint Boyer and the rest of the field. Still 2-car breakaway, though. Boyer's pit crew seems to be on it again as well, considering they did win the race off of pit road to restart in second. Second and a half lead again. Lockup of those front tires for Dale Jr. in turn 8. So he tries to pull away from Boyer. 47.1 flat that last lap. 52 laps complete. Back into the 46s, 46.887. I mean, I'm sliding around quite a bit, but it's not terrible with the handling. It looks like it is. It's almost like when I'm shifting, it's straightening the car out a little bit too. So it's a little easier to hold on versus maybe if I wasn't shifting. This being a road course, doesn't matter what generation car, there's going to be a lot of shifting going on every lap. Boyer's cut that lead just under a second at the start-finish line. 9/10 of a second off the lead, crossing the bridge at lap 54. Boyer's definitely going to be able to lead more laps on the strategy, knowing Junior's going to have to pit before him. Unless Boyer tries to stay on the same strategy as the 81. He's really the only one that seems somewhat competitive enough on speed to have a shot at him. Eighth of a tank of fuel left now for the 81. That was a big fishtail that time. It's that right rear tire's in the yellow as well as the left rear. Make that the worst time he's gotten through turn 3 today. And Clint Boyer closing that gap. And into turn 80 definitely has closed the gap. Still putting pressure on Dale Jr. Even though he's going to be taking that lead away when Junior pits in a handful of laps. Junior's still holding on to the lead into turn 3. Golly. It's 2 laps in a row, he's overcorrected the power slide off the exit turn 3 into the wall, and here comes the run for the 2 of Boyer now. He'll be on the inside through turn 7. He's got a shot to clear low, but he's going to choose not to. Junior's going to lock the tires up. And trying to move Boyer. No, he's going to race him clean. Boyer back in the lead. So that mistake from Dale Jr. has costed him the lead, at least for 1 lap. And now Boyer's got the track position and the fresher tires on Dale Jr. Might try to pull away. Couldn't even get underneath him in turn 3 that time. Big lockup at turn 8. Boyer seemed to lose the rear tires just a bit. Junior looked low. Can't quite get underneath the 2 in the draft. All over the back bumper of Clint Boyer, crossing the bridge, heading towards turn 1. Power slide into 1, Boyer down low. Dale Jr. up high. He's going to look for the dive into 3, down to the apron. Side by side, contact is made. And with that contact, seemed like it actually helped the 2 car out a little bit. Boyer holds clear again. Junior trying to back up the corner a little bit so he can have potentially more straightaway speed, but the tire disadvantage is just, again, not helping him. Fuel indicator in the dark red now. A few more laps of gas left in the tank. For Dale Jr., going to try to stay out as long as possible before pitting. Boyer leads. Jr. locking the tires up into turn 8. Looks low. Clear. Clean pass on older tires to get back by Boyer. Now trying to block the 2-car down on the inside as they head towards turn 1. Jr. maybe a bit air loose. He was loose before, but maybe a bit air loose through 1 and 2 that time with the 2-car all over his back bumper. Jr. going to gap Boyer by about a half a car length or so through turn 3. Lap 62 to 63, Dale Jr. will pit. The good news is, with him pitting in a couple laps, he doesn't care about abusing the tires at this point in the run. He's been locking it up in turn 8 quite a bit the last few laps as well. Trying to really push hard on these old tires through the braking. Potentially get away from Boyer in the 2. Not going to make any adjustment changes during the first stop of the race. Made a few mistakes with the car sliding around. Nothing too major, though, as he's gotten back by Boyer after Boyer was able to lead about 3 or 4 laps. On the bottom into turn 8, Jr. overdrove the corner. And as he goes wide off the exit, Jr. led that lap by inches at the line. Clint Boyer down on the bottom looking for the lead. Jr. crowds him. Still crowds him. Oh, Boyer tries to hook the 81. He moved him. Oh, and now John Hamilton moves Jr. in turn 2. First Boyer, then Hamilton. I can't... My Kirsty's like, you can't be running in third. I'm like, why can't I? Had older tires. Boyer punted Dale Jr. out of the way in turn 1, and then John Hamilton punted him out of the way at turn 2. Jr. will go one more lap on fuel, and he'll pit at lap 63 this time by. Expected to go 60 laps, and now all 4 tires in the yellow and the tire wear indicators. Jr. gets back to the inside of John Hamilton for second. Jr. is going to clear Hamilton for second place through turn 1. Holds clear into 2. Oh, big block, big block. That did not work. Major contact. Jr. is already kind of fishtailing when he moved down on John Hamilton. And Jr. is out of gas. Hamilton going to get by to the outside, but Jr. was coming in anyway. That was a perfect time to run out of gas. He pushed it as far as he could. Jr. coming into the pits. Oh, and he sped still. That's not going to help. Speeding penalty for Dale Jr. by 1 mile an hour, even though he was coasting it out of fuel. I'm fine with running out of gas there. It didn't really cost Dale Jr. much time, if any at all. The pit road speeding penalty is going to cost him time. 5 seconds worth. Because he ran out of gas and still couldn't get the car to slow up enough. Yeah, that's a costly penalty for Dale Jr. 22.6 second stop with the 5 second penalty added on. Which is why that stop was over 20 seconds. Hopefully this doesn't put him a lap down. And it does, unfortunately. And if Dale Jr. didn't have that speeding penalty, he would not be a lap down. In the 42nd place position. He's got fresher tires versus the rest of the field. They're not going to pit for about 20 laps, so Jr. needs to get back in the lead lap. We have one car blowing up. Bottom of the racetrack. And it looks like it's J.J. Yaley, potentially in the 18. Oh, big slow up by John Hamilton and Tony Raines, and that's going to allow Dale Jr. to get by. Yaley was 4th position. Yaley trying to get to pit road right now. Junior's still a lap down after that pit road speeding penalty. Will Yaley get to the pits? Next car in front of Dale Jr. is going to be Clint Boyer in the 2. Lap 66. I believe J.J. Yaley has made it to pit road. Boy, did he slow the rest of the field up. I'm just glad Yaley got into the pits and didn't cause a caution. Because that would have been terrible timing for Dale Jr. to have that pit road speeding penalty that put him a lap down. But Yaley is in the pits, and his day will come to an end. Came in 4th in points. Could still finish as high as 3rd coming in, but now maybe not so much anymore. Has 1 win on the year at Darlington. I'm not going to go with Truex yet. I'm still saving that for later. We're still very early in this race. Boyer's got a fast enough car. I think he would be able to come back from it right now. Boyer's going to lead laps regardless. He's got a massive lead over 2nd place. Junior's definitely running down the 2 on these fresher tires. That's one advantage Dale Jr. is going to have on this strategy is going to be during green flag pit stops, but he really needs to get this lap back in case we get a caution. He'd be in the free pass position right now, but Boyer's closing in on cars at the back of the field, which would not put Dale Jr. in the free pass position if he catches him. Junior's got a lot more grip in turn 3 of the apron now with these fresher tires too. That was an advantage he had on Boyer before, an even bigger one now. Try not to lock up the tires as much this time at turn 8 so he can save those tires a bit. Fastest lap, 46.643 that last lap for Dale Jr. Looks like he's in 40th. Somebody else is just blowing an engine somewhere around the racetrack. Hopefully they got to pit road. 3 engine failures already in the first 68 laps out of 233 on a road course. Maybe they're transmission issues. Probably not. Another lap or 2, Junior should be able to get around Boyer. So 3 cars out. That's why Junior's in 40th. He pitted under green. He did not pit during the first caution. Lap 21 allowed him to stay out in front for most of the time, at least till the very end of the run before Boyer finally got around him. So did John Hamilton at the time for 2nd. Dale Jr. catches Boyer in turn 3, side by side into 4. Jr. clear on the bottom of the racetrack. So Dale Jr. back on the lead lap, which is good in case we do get our 2nd caution of the race. Boyer already tried to move Dale Jr. once. That was a hard charge to the inside. By the 2 car of Boyer. Jr. going to block those. He gets the acceleration off turn 8. Boyer got back around. Jr. with the crossover in turn 3. Had to get on the brakes there off the exit of the corner, which is not what you want to do, but that was just to keep from running into the back of the 110 car, who he was catching quickly. The tail end of the field, he's back in front of Boyer again. And Boyer seems to be too far back with Junior in the draft of the lap car as they head towards turn 8. Junior locking the tires up. Powers by the 110 for 39th. Junior no longer the last car on the lead lap. Russell Field should be pitting in right around 10 laps or so. Oh, 152 moving another fantasy driver up out of the way in turn 3. The short track move in that hairpin. More sparks flying into turn 4 as well. Those two cars still side by side as the 152 wasn't quite able to clear him with that aggressive move. Dale Jr. closing in on both of them as they side draft each other. Follows the 152's line to get to the inside. The 152 trying to block Dale Jr. now. Jr. looking low, and he's underneath him barely. Side drafts him back now into turn 1. Oh, the 152 gets into the side of Dale Jr. Couldn't hold the inside in turn 2. Jr. will make the pass in 3. It sounds like some of the leaders will pit, and that includes race leader Clint Boyer. So Boyer in the pits for the second time today. A little early as he's trying to short pit, knowing Junior was gaining a lot of time on his fresher tires. Even with the pit road speeding penalty he had, he was able to get back on the lead lap. So there was no incentive really for Boyer to stay out too much longer, as he was just going to lose more and more time the longer he waited to pit. John Hamilton will take his first lead of the race now. 5 bonus points for Hamilton, who's still top 10 in the points in the Busch and Truck Series. On a double duty this season full time in the lower series. A lot of cars on pit road currently. Junior going to get a lot of his spots back. Now he's just hoping that we could cycle all the way through, because if cars end up on pit road when the caution waves, unless they were at the tail end of the field, they're going to actually cycle out in front of, say, Dale Jr. and everybody else who would have already cycled off of pit road. John Hamilton stays out another lap, so he'll lead a second lap of the race. Clint Boyer cycled in front of Dale Jr. He is the car that came out right in front of the lappers and right in front of Earnhardt. Jr. goes to the bottom in turn 3. And those lap cars to his outside will choose to pit. So Boyer is able to cycle back in the lead, even staying out a bit longer. He's got about 14 lap fresher tires than Dale Jr., but remember, Jr. had that 5-second pit road penalty, so that is why he is not in the lead. Otherwise, he probably would have cycled back out in front. Definitely going to have to watch the cars coming out of the pit lane on the outside, that final corner, and heading towards turn 1 on that long straightaway crossing the bridge. Martin Truex Jr. is going to lead. 5 bonus points for Truex this time by at the line as John Hamilton's on pit road. Boyer goes wide in turn 3. Dale Jr. to the inside, hits him and clears him. Aggressive move by Earnhardt to make the pass on Boyer quickly. It's not for the lead, but it'll be the eventual lead once everybody else cycles through pit road and during green flag pit stops. Jr. locking him up in turn 8. Boyer looking low. Underneath the 81, trying to get him back. Lap cars coming out of the pits, just up ahead, the 152. That's going to hop Junior out of line just a bit. Undercuts Boyer. Going to try to undercut him again. Oh, contact! Oh, he hooks him! Hard, head on into the wall goes Boyer. Oh my goodness. Caution's out for the second time today. Dale Jr. has hooked Clint Boyer in the 2. He tried to undercut the corner and he just turned him. Head on into the guardrail. That, you would think, is going to knock some speed out of the 2, but that is not a caution. Dale Jr. wanted to see, and because of causing it, he's going to have to pit. They go to the tail end of the field, and there were some cars a lap down. We'll find out exactly how many. There were still some cars that had to hit pit road yet that didn't pit. And Boyer is actually going to be the leader because he was the first car on the track. That is unfortunate. That's just championship rivals coming back together. Yeah, well, that's not exactly what I had intended. I was just trying to undercut the corner, and I couldn't have hooked him any cleaner. Good thing it's a long race, so I'm not too worried about it. This car's fast. The big thing is just hoping there's not going to be a stack up or a wreck of some sort in front of us on the restart. That's the big thing right now. And with other cars on pit road, Junior will get in front of those, so I don't think he's going to be too far back in the field. We'll see, though. So that's going to get Boyer back to the lead, but he's got damage, and we'll see if he's still as fast as what he was before the caution. Junior not too far back in the field. He'll restart in 10th. Not bad at all. All the lap cars on the inside of the lead lap cars for the restart. Dale Jr. trying to fight for the bottom. He's going to get there. Blocking the car behind him into turn 1. Oh my goodness. 3 wide in front of Earnhardt into turns 1 and 2. And they actually made it 3 wide through turn 2 in front of him without a wreck. That's going to be some spots. That was a great way for Dale Jr. to pick up, well, 1 position. There was actually 3 lap cars he passed in there as well. Boyer's starting to catch up to Earnhardt in the lap sled category, so Junior's going to have to try to get through this field as quick as he can. 1 car pulls out of line trying to go 3 wide. 4 wide goes Earnhardt to the inside as he knocks him up out of the way. Earnhardt went for it. 4 wide. And turn 8. There was a little bit of contact. Anytime you see 4 wide on a road course, there usually is. The field made it, though. And Junior's still trying to navigate himself through the field. Backing up turn 3 quite a bit to get back down to the apron. Picks up another spot to 7th. That's a lot of lap cars he's been passing, but hardly any lead lap cars since the restart. Just over a lap and a half in. Clint Boyer in the clean air. Definitely pulling away. Did get 1 lap car that seemed to have passed him. Junior's making some great moves. It's up to 4th. Try not to make contact into turn 2. Risk turning another race car. Junior did not. Back up to P3. Bobby Labonte in 2nd. Definitely a great restart for Dale Jr. Helped he was only back in 10th. That's still a lot of cars to pass considering how many of them there were. Oh, a little contact with Labonte into turn 8. Bonnie definitely checked up a lot sooner than Dale Jr. to try and make that corner. Chastain is Boyer and Dale Jr. is Hamlin. And there's a pass for 2nd in turn 3. Jr. up another spot. And I believe Michael Jourdain Jr. in the 10 cars holding up Clint Boyer. Boyer trying to get around the lap car. It's going to allow Jr. to close in again. Remember, Clint Boyer has about 13 to 14 lap pressure tires. Yeah, but Boyer definitely, rightfully, would be able to hit Dale Jr. I don't think Jr.'s going to be overly upset about it. Jr.'s going to have to sit behind Jourdain at least through turns 1 and 2. We'll try to pass him in 3. We'll try to pass him in turn 2, down on the inside. Backs up turn 3, looking down to the inside, onto the apron. Dale Jr. got to get around him. He gets back up into Boyer. He's going to clear him for the lead. He didn't even pass him cleanly, but he passed him. Junior better get away. By the way, he just ran a 46.4 that last lap, which was his fastest of the race so far. Locking the brakes up just a bit. Boyer's underneath Earnhardt. I'm very surprised he didn't try to get into him there. Door to door. The 2 and the 81 into turn 1. Great pass in turn 8 by Clint Boyer. Oh, Dale Jr. got into him again. I don't know how many more times Boyer's just going to let him do that. Jr. back to the lead. Maybe Jr. can actually get away for good this time. Jr. blocking the 2 down on the bottom. Into turns 1 and 2. He is right there. Boyer overdrives turn 3. Junior gapping him again. Oops. And Junior definitely pressing a little too hard. Junior led that lap. Boyer the 2. Looking low. Junior going to try to crowd him. Oh my goodness. Not what he had planned. And in turn 1, there was a little bit of contact on the front stretch. Boyer nearly got squeezed into the wall by Dale Jr. There is no love lost between these two championship leaders. Crossover though for Dale Jr. to get back by Boyer in turn 3. Boyer's got fresher tires, so Dale Jr. just kind of trying to hang on. Getting through his better corners better than Boyer, but everywhere else, Boyer just as fast, if not faster, than the 81. These somewhat alternating strategies. $21 likes on the stream already, not even 100 laps in out of 233. I figured let's get to 30 to 40 likes today. We're on pace for that right now, so be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you have not already. If you're wondering when the next live race commentary live stream is, it'll be tomorrow for the 7500. Primetime NASCAR live on the channel. Playoff opener to let the drama begin. Or I should say let the drama continue, considering how the regular season finale ended as far as the points battle went for that last cutoff spot. And the drama of Austin Dillon picking up the win to clinch a spot in the final race as well. Now with about half the field a lap down and Boyer on the lead lap, it's going to be really hard for him to get a really bad finish of any sort. He's had a fast car regardless, but even if he gets held up a couple times, I just don't know that that would happen. Still waiting to see Wendell Jr. use that field swap for the first time. He's got 2 chances at it. Waiting to pull the trigger with it. Sacrifice Martin Truex Jr.'s good run. With J.J. Yaley DNFing, though, might hold Truex third in points still. Maybe even making that sacrifice. I would think Truex is still in the lead lap himself right now. Junior a bit wider in turn 8 that time compared to what he wanted to. Oh boy, really good run in turn 2. Junior holding on. Seems like when Junior starts to slowly pull away, the 2 reels him back in. Definitely tell Boyer still got speed. Pressure tires on the 81 obviously helping, but still. Junior starting to power slide up off of turns 1 and 2 again. Not quite halfway through the fuel run, but getting pretty close to it. Oh, Sheldon Creed's in the lead? Michael Jordan Jr. is a lap down right now, so it's back to a 2-car breakaway again between Dale Jr. and Clint Boyer. Still well over half the race remains. Almost 2 hours in. Actually, almost an hour and a half in. Forgot I didn't get things started until 6:30. Still. So pacing over a 3-hour race tonight. Figured that would be the case. Only 2 cautions through 97 laps on a road course. See if that lack of caution pace will continue, or maybe we'll start to get some. Who knows? Dale Jr. gonna have to pit before everybody else again. Doesn't want to hit pit road with a speeding penalty that forces him back into that same situation he was in after the last green flag stop. Looking at just 2 more pit stops to go for the 81. His pit crew had a fast stop, but pit road speeding penalty obviously Almost trapped him a lap down. We would have had a caution at a bad point in time, especially with J.J. Yaley blowing an engine when he did. Forgot Larson was running the Xfinity race this weekend. I know Denny Hamlin was supposed to also. He usually runs the Xfinity race at Darlington every year, but crash at Daytona ended up sitting out this weekend for the Xfinity race. Like I mentioned, though, if Clint Bowyer doesn't win this race, he's at least doing what he needs to through 100 laps so far today. Solid runs like that, no matter what Dale Jr. wins. He can win out these final 4 races, get max points days, but if Clint Bowyer is able to get top 10s, it's all over. There's no chance Dale Jr. is going to come back. Finishing second, obviously going to help him even more, because that's meaning that even better finishes, or even worse finishes, I guess, is what he's going to need out of Dale Jr.'s sake if he's going to want to win the title. And his late season comeback. $133 laps to go this time by at the Old Spice Speedway. Got road course racing for the 3rd and final time this season for the Busch Series. Couple tenths of a second slower that last lap for Dale Jr. versus the few laps before that. He was running 46.6, is back to 46.9. Continuing just over a 1 second lead on Bowyer. Jr.'s led the most laps so far, but Clint's probably led close to about 30-40 laps of his own today. Sounds like Larson, Gregson, and Crater battling in the Xfinity race. Back up to a 46.7. There's that power slide into turn 1. Largest lead's only been about 1.6 seconds for Dale Jr. today. There it is off turn 3, about 1.6 second lead now. tell you what, Darlington's been putting on some good races, good finishes the last couple of years, especially in the Xfinity Series side of things, so it sounds like that's going on right now. Noah Gragson won. Congrats to Gregson winning the race. Sounds like it was a crazy finish. Definitely one I'll have to go back and rewatch at the end of the stream tonight. Oh, she commentated that. I had no clue the race was still going on when I got home because I thought it was going to be over, knowing it started at 3. Wish I commentated it. I wish I did too, given the description of what was going on in the chat. Maintaining about a 1.5-second lead right now for Dale Jr. Getting closer to halfway. Slowly but surely. Watch the clip after the stream, give a blank count. Yeah, but I know what happened though, so I can't do that. I haven't seen it, but I know Gregson won the race, so it wouldn't be authentic. Yeah, I would be able to do that. I have to see it live, like as it happens. Otherwise, it just doesn't, it feels more scripted from the commentating side of things. Yeah, I see that. Just ignore them and report them. Finish of the year? Yeah, like I said, it kind of sounds like it. Whenever something like that happens and they can actually finish under green, that's usually pretty insane. Especially on a track like Darlington where it's just so skill-based. Warriors close that gap just under a second. The way the strategy's going right now, though, I don't see Boyer being on equal or even older tires than Dale Jr. It seems like Jr.'s pretty much going to be on older tires than Boyer the rest of this race, which is definitely something that could keep Boyer in it with Jr. staying out of the pits during that very first caution. During caution number 2, the only drivers that pitted were ones that did not pit under green flag conditions, as we were in the middle of green flag stops when that caution came out. Back to a 1.3 second lead again. With the power slide into turn 3. And powers out of it with a 1.5 second lead. Quickly pulled back away from Boyer over those sets of corners. Notice that later in this run, he is a little better through turns 1 and 2 compared to what he was earlier. He slid a bit wide in turn 7 that time. Didn't lift when he probably should have and got in the wall there. Still ran into the 46-second lap area even with that wall scrape in turn 7. Boyer about 2/10 faster than Earnhardt though that last lap. Back down to a 1.3 second lead into turn 1. We'll have our trivia question at the halfway point today in a handful of laps. We get to lap 117 to get to halfway. Quarter tank of gas left for Earnhardt right now. Pitted at lap 63. We had a caution during this run just like we had during the first fuel run for Dale Jr. Even if we get a late caution, he plans on pitting under green. Stretch it out as long as he possibly can. And prevent Boyer from potentially leading as many laps as he possibly can so Dale Jr. can try to get the most laps led. Boyer qualified on the pole. Not as fast as Dale Jr. tonight, considering he's been on fresher tires, but that's the advantage he needs to somewhat keep pace with him. And it has clearly been these two levels ahead of the rest of the field, not only tonight, but all season, of those who have ran every race and is running for points in the Busch Series. 12 different winners this year, but a lot of them are Cup guys. 18 wins combined between Dale Jr. and Clint Boyer through the first 31 completed races. So it sounds like the 137 is very slow, and he'll be working his way off of pit road down a cylinder to try to get back out on the racetrack. So that's going to maybe cause some stack-ups throughout the rest of this race, and we still have a long ways to go yet. Wow, that was as loose as we've seen Junior in turn 7, and Boyer wasn't close enough behind him at that point in time to get him aero loose, but he does close in quite a bit in turn 8. Still 120 laps to go, and right at the end of the fuel run again is where Boyer's trying to look for the lead as both the rear tires are wearing out quite a bit on the 81 of Earnhardt's race car. This Rich Chevrolet trying to hold on, Boyer on fresher tires. Maybe manage them a bit better as well. So he was laying back for a lot longer during this run than the last run, but Junior really good through turn 3. Pulls him even with a little fishtail back out to a 0.6 second lead. I think Gregson just gets sick at the end of the races for adrenaline. Because it seems like it's always races he's in a highly competitive battle at the end, whether he wins or loses. At least I hope that's what it is. Hopefully it's not anything serious. That 137 car is going to be the car just up ahead of the leaders. Gonna have to catch him in the right places. I don't think Junior's going to get to him on this long straightaway right now as he's pulled away from Boyer just a tad for the time being. Hopefully he catches him in turn 3. Not going to catch him through turns 1 and 2. Bit of a power slide off the exit of the corner. He's definitely going to catch him in turn 3. This is going to be a perfect spot for Dale Jr. to catch him. Goes all the way down to the apron. Clint Boyer stuck behind the 137 through turn 3. Still trying to get around him. The 137 blocks Boyer. That's going to help. And Dale Jr. is right back out to a 2.5 lead by the time Boyer gets around him into turns 6 and 7. Ice Jr. a little bit more time. We'll be halfway at the start-finish line this time by. Half the race down, half to go. 24 likes. We're almost on pace for 50 likes tonight. So again, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. If you're just tuning in for the first time, for watching the Xfinity Series finale, welcome in. Congrats again to Noah Gragson winning that race today. And as of right now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the most laps at the Old Spice Speedway, trying to get the Old Spice Speedway sweep and the road course sweep, trying to win all 3 road course races in the Busch Series as well. 1/8 of a tank of fuel left. Junior going to have to pit very soon. Time for tonight's trivia question on the channel, and it'll be a Darlington track back with the Cup Series and Xfinity Series at Darlington this weekend. And today's trivia question is, who is the driver to have the most who is the driver to have the most wins from the pole in NASCAR Xfinity Series history at Darlington? That is today's trivia question. Who is the driver to win the most races from the pole in the Xfinity Series at Darlington? That is tonight's trivia question. And you guys have until lap 125 to get the answer correct. At the end of lap 125, I'll give you the answer. If nobody gets it by lap 123, I'll give you guys a hint for those final 2 laps. See if anybody can get it. It is not Joey Logano. It is not Kyle Busch. Boyer got held up by that 137 car. Oh, Junior hard into the wall. And turn 2 as he undercut the corner. 4th time he's hit the wall undercutting a corner today. He does stay in front of the 2. Luckily they were coming up on turn 3. That kind of saved him and allowed him to hold on to the lead. Boyer a bit too far wide though through the chute. Not Brandon Jones. Not Justin Allgaier. Boyer on the inside of Earnhardt. Boyer leads that lap at the line side by side for the lead. 81 in the 2. Junior's going to give Boyer the spot into turn 1 to hopefully try to back up turns 1 and 2 a little bit more. Gets underneath them. There's contact off the exit of turn 2 into 3. Junior on the outside. Boyer down low. Boyer going to have the advantage. Clint Boyer is taking the lead at Old Spice Speedway. He's on slightly fresher tires, 13 to 14 lap fresher tires. Into turn 8, Junior charging hard, looking low underneath Boyer. Junior led that lap by inches at the line. Contact with the 2. Now he's got the positioning though into turn 1. Clint Boyer down on the inside. Into turn 2. Boyer gets the drive off. Junior will stay low into 3. Down to the apron. Junior clear. Back out in front again at Old Spice Speedway. Never officially lost the lead. Boyer didn't lead a lap in that transition. Mark DeMars has gotten tonight's trivia question correct. It was Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin is the driver to win the most races from the pole at Darlington in NASCAR Xfinity Series history. 4 wins from the pole for Denny Hamlin at Darlington. One of his better tracks across both the Xfinity and Cup Series. Next closest would have been Mark Martin with 3. Fuel indicator in the red. For Dale Jr., he can only go a few more laps on fuel. Not going to go quite as far as he did on the last fuel run. So it'll be just his second stop of the day. Everybody else has already pitted twice because they pitted during caution number 1 and then just before and also during caution 2. Daniel Powers, thanks for tuning in. And Denny Hamlin was the answer. Yeah, I figured you were guessing considering you did name a few names before, but got unlimited guesses, took advantage of it, you got the trivia question correct as a result. I'll just go 2 laps this time instead of 3 extra. It didn't cost Junior the last time. He still sped on pit road. That is what cost him before. And if he's up to full power, he's really going to have to back it down when he tries to make it into the pits. Denny Hamlin. Again, Junior in the wall. Is this going to allow Boyer to get back to the lead? He cleared Junior the last time, but Junior got him back in turn 8 to beat him by inches to the line. Oh, contact, and now that was payback, I think. Junior deserved that. Up into the wall. Big hit from Clint Boyer. Junior back to 3rd. And he'll pit this time at lap 125. And now he's 2.5 seconds off the lead. Junior got into Boyer a couple times earlier in the race and they were battling for the lead. Boyer got into him as they were side by side into turn 7. Ran Junior up into the wall pretty hard. Junior not only loses the lead, but also loses second place to Bobby Labonte as well. Actually, that's the 133 car who's up to second now, having a good run. Of course, the Old Spice car running good at Old Spice Speedway. That's probably automatically programmed into the game. Junior will pit. 4 tires and fuel. Has to make sure he does not speed. 70 miles per hour is the pit road speed limit. He was very cautious that time, almost a little too cautious. He's down to about 50 miles an hour. 4 tires and fuel, no adjustments during the second stop of the day for Dale Jr. Both pit stops will call for no adjustment changes. It's the 133. I don't think Tony Stewart's in this race. He should have been, though. He's got an Old Spice sponsorship. And the Old Spice car is pitted in front of us, too. It's pit boxes. Everything's Old Spice tonight. Should have bought some, like, Old Spice deodorant to advertise during pit stops tonight. That's okay. We don't need any of that. Dale Jr. in 20th. Good thing with not speeding is that he's on the lead lap, so if we get a caution this time around, he can restart back in the lead this time. Boyer was 2.5 seconds ahead of Dale Jr. Now when does Boyer pit? That was the second stop of the day for Dale Jr. Went 1 lap less when he went the first run. 62 that time, 63 before, but 1 caution during each run. So probably 59 laps is all he would go if we did get a run to go caution free. It is confusing to tell, but I think it's the 133 because I haven't seen Stewart at all today. Usually the fantasy tracks, the Cup regulars do not run at them. Usually. Plus it's Kevin Harvick in the Truck Series, but he's the only Cup regular in the Truck Series anyway. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the second and final time in today's race. Boyer out in front once again. And as you see scrolling across the top of the screen when it does come back around, Boyer has the points lead by 166 over Dale Jr. into tonight's race. If Jr. wins, he'll gain just 10 points. Assuming Jr. leads the most laps, then he will actually increase or cut into that gap by 15 points. And it sounds like some leaders will be pitting this time. Not Boyer, he'll stay out again. Can't blame him for trying to lead as many laps as possible. Junior side by side with the 131 car into turn 1. Junior into the wall just a bit. Undercut the corner as he was side by side into that sharp angled turn. Through turn 3 though, gets right around him anyway. Clean pass in that corner though. Had 3 cars blow an engine those first 68 laps. I don't think anybody has blown an engine since the last restart. Lap 68 was the last caution, so definitely approaching the longest green flag run of the race up to this point. Dale Jr. up to 15th with some cars already pitting from the lead lap. A lot closer to Dale Jr.'s pit this time versus that first run. Clint Boyer still out on the racetrack though, at least for now. Boyer coming in from the lead this time. It's 2.5 seconds of Dale Jr. ahead of him. But Jr. had fresher tires for about 6 or 7 laps. So now it's time to see if the 81 could cycle in front of the 2. The 133 will lead for the first time today. Mark Truex Jr. also on pit road. Wherever he was at in the field from the lead lap. Have to assume the lead lap. .386 that last lap for Dale Jr., his fastest of the race. That is insane. Ran a 47.1 in qualifying. Qualified 9th. Forgot about the 137 car still on the racetrack. They were checking up pretty mightily in turn 8 that time. One car coming out of the pits right in front of the 137. Oh my goodness, Junior almost got sandwiched by the car coming out of the pits. And the car he had a run on in the draft, who was a lap down right in front of him. Now he gets ran into by the 131 up off the exit of turn 3. Got a wild lap so far. Junior just got hooked. He's holding on to it. That was a wild lap for Dale Jr. Not a textbook one by any means at the Old Spice Speedway. It's up to 4th. No caution. We stay green. Which is good for Earnhardt. He's got nobody behind him anymore. Time take a deep breath. Get back into focusing as we have 100 to go. Aaron Crocker leads for the first time today, by the way. In the 6. Been on a little hot streak the last couple races. Now going to lead a lap today as well. I don't know who did it. It was one of the cars that came out of the pits recently. Pause it for a quick second. We'll go back to the far chase cam at the start-finish line for the rest of the race. Aaron Crocker's on pit road from the lead. She was about 24 seconds ahead of Dale Jr., who was in 3rd. Not sure if the second-place car is coming to pit road this time or not. It doesn't look like it. So one of the fantasy drivers now out into the lead. And he's about 13 seconds ahead of Earnhardt. Earnhardt to the outside of the 131 through turn 7. Still on the outside now into 8. Junior to the inside and all clear. Junior back to P2. And he'll take the lead as soon as the fantasy driver hits pit road. Whoever that is leading with 97 laps to go. Junior cycled well out in front of Boyer. Pitting about 6 to 7 laps before him. Boyer on slightly fresher tires. Gonna try to run him back down again. Right now, not seeming like the case. Pretty good pit stop by the 81 crew as well. Didn't speed coming into the pits. Was a big advantage that last time as well. Quick race pace so far, though, considering we've only had 2 cautions per incident. I saw another wreck. 3.5 second lead for Dale Jr. over Boyer, by the way, as he was able to lead that last lap at the start-finish line. 96 laps to go at the Old Spice Speedway. Still one more pit stop out from the finish for everybody yet in this race. And that window will open up with about 60 laps to go. Sure, we'll see some drivers short pit. Might as well. And maybe even think about pitting before the end of the race if you're Dale Jr. Once you clinch the most laps led, at least. Just so that way, in case the caution comes out, you can restart back in the lead. He's done a great job on old tires today. So I think that would be the good call. The only car that could potentially beat him on speed overall is Clint Boyer. Fresh tires, old tires, I don't think it matters as much. I mean, it'll matter, but he's on older tires right now as it is anyway, so might as well go for it. 4-second lead. Boyer's caught in lap traffic. This is as spaced apart as the field has been so far, with this being the longest green flag run of the race so far at almost 80 laps. Actually 70 laps to be exact since the last caution. Over a full fuel run. Every car Junior puts a lap down, the better for himself. Still have 2 field passes left in this race, 2 laps apiece. And I think it's about time for that first one. Try to get Martin Truex Jr. to back up Boyer's running order just a bit right now. We'll go to Truex for the first time today at lap 140. Truex currently in 10th. Kenny Wallace right in front of him. I don't know how or where Dale Jr. or Martin Truex Jr. should pull off to that the rest of the field isn't going to slow up behind him. That's going to be the hard part to try and figure out. It's not like an oval. Really no runoff area. Gonna park it down at the bottom. He's got to keep the car rolling though. He can go very slow, but he's got to keep the car rolling. We know Bowyer was in second. And we know Dale Jr.'s in the lead, so once the 81 works his way around, Truex can start getting back up to speed, knowing Jr.'s got about a 4-second lead over Clint Bowyer. Hoping Dale Jr. is going to get by without having to slow down at all here. Truex has to keep his car rolling. There goes Dale Jr. Bowyer's going to start to take off. He sees Clint closing in the rear view. And Bowyer's actually going to get around Truex. Bowyer probably saw the 8, got around him cleanly. Now Truex has to catch up before trying to hold up the 2. Truex going to lock the tires up into turn 8. Closes quite a bit on Bowyer. Gonna have to get back around him. We only got one more lap, too. That was not ideal. Oh, the 137's gonna hold Bowyer up a little bit. Bowyer's up the middle, 3 wide into turn 2. What a move by Bowyer. To get around the slow car without getting held up. Truex with the dive down to the apron. He's going to door check the 2 of Bowyer, and now he's going to park it right in front of him. Bowyer trying to move the 8. And Bowyer is hitting the back of Truex right now. He is just hitting him, trying to move him up out of the way. Bowyer gets hit from behind. Oh, there's a car with heavy damage. Oh, Bowyer's pit. Oh, Bowyer's into the barrier. Clint Bowyer has wrecked. Caution's out. Major championship implications late at Old Spice Speedway. He piles into the barrier at the front of pit road. I don't even know what happened there, but Clint Bowyer has wrecked. And that had nothing to do with Truex. He got held up, that did, but Bowyer has just wrecked. Caution is out. Truex is going to pit. Might as well, means he's a lap down now. Top off on fuel, take 4 fresh tires. Still have one more lap with him, means we didn't get that lap completed when the caution came out. Our 3rd yellow of the day has major championship implications written all over it. And that's got to be heavy damage for the 2 car. Hard into the tire barrier at speed. It looked like he was trying to pit, but it was very strange because we were outside the window yet to make it on fuel to the end, so I don't think he was trying to pit. Have you ever? Do you believe in miracles, ladies and gentlemen? Do you believe in miracles? As far as championship goes. Over a full race worth of points out with 4 races left coming in. Quite a few cars still lapped down. The 138 car who slammed into the back of Bowyer prior to Bowyer hitting tire barrier, he is going to be very slow. Green flag back in the air. Bowyer's upset with Truex holding him up, even though a lot of the contact was initiated by Bowyer. Truex in 34th, but he's got fresher tires. Just in case we get another caution sometime soon, he's going to want to try to drive back on the lead lap. Great launch on the restart on the fresher tires for Truex. Took off really well. A lot of bottlenecking going on in turns 1 and 2. We continue to stay green. Truex not going to find the 2 car on this restart. It looks like Bowyer is still in the race. Truex has picked up 4 positions already on the restart. Some lead lap cars he's passed as well. Deep into the braking zone in turn 8. 3 wide to the bottom goes Truex. Up to about 25th, and we'll go back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. at the front of the field, who of course leads this race. His 4-second lead's gone, but it's no longer Bowyer who's in second. I am definitely ready for tomorrow's race. Sizey, why would you even say that? Yes, it has been a while, and... Oh, we've got a... No, I was about to say we have a slow car, but I think it's the 137. It's well off the pace right now. "26 likes on the stream. Be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content again if you are new. Michael Jordan Jr. is a lap down, right in line behind Dale Jr. His cars lined up behind Jr. in the restart still have slightly fresher tires. Jr. has about a 1.4 second lead. We'll be coming to lap 150 this time by. If you're just tuning in, we've had 3 cautions, and the most recent one was Clint Bowyer in the 2, crashing at the entrance to pit road. Probably got severe damage to the nose of that race car. Be interesting to see if we get a debris caution. The 137, his front bumper's kind of crinkled. He got in the back of the 2 at one point. And a little bit of a stack up. Still one more field pass left in this race as well. Maybe Truex can force Bowyer into another big mistake. I mean, even if Bowyer finishes outside the top 10 now, and caution for the 4th time today. Jeez. I got a little loose when I got out of the gas and the caution came out. Closer to the pit window, but still not open yet. Debris off of Clint Bowyer's race car. Bowyer definitely not at pace anymore, which is going to be better for Dale Jr. I'm not sure what piece of debris came off the 2 car, but there was a piece of debris that came off. Not within the field window yet, so Dale Jr. will stay out again. And I'm sure the rest of the field will also stay out again. And we'll be coming to another restart. Lap cars on the inside of the lead lap cars. Green flag back in the air. Good launch for the 10 of Michael Jordan Jr., who was on the bottom of the racetrack, but Jr. able to get to the bottom pretty quickly as well. Big block into the corner. One car going to go wide. Oh, back up the track. Shoves the 133 into the grass, who I believe was in second. The Old Spice car going backwards at Old Spice Speedway on that restart. Junior out to almost a 2-second lead because of it. They were 3 wide in turn 2, which led to that contact. There was debris from Bowyer's car. Replay didn't really show it, but that was the cause of the caution. Michael Jordan Jr. hoping for another quick yellow. Beans he has gotten his lap back on Dale Jr. Jr. trying to get back around him. Jordan on slightly fresher tires, and now he's got clean air. The 81 does not have the clean air, but he does have just over a 2-second lead. Junior down low under Jordan into turn 3, clears him. Jordan will go a lap down once again. Got 78 laps to go this time by. Keep an eye on that lap marker as we get closer to 60 to go with the way these cautions are coming out. Locking up the tires in turn 8. Chance for Jordan to get down low. Trying to make the pass on the 81. Not going to happen there. Big block by Junior as he holds on. Junior over 3 seconds ahead of second place. He's battling the 10 cars. The 10 trying to get a lap back. Caution, and Jourdain got alongside Junior, but he was about a half a car length away from getting his lap back. More debris off the two of Bowyer. His hood has now come off. More damage on the two, exposing the radiator and the hood. Unbelievable. Our fourth caution of the race. Actually our fifth caution of the race. Still outside the fuel window, so again, Dale Jr. gonna stay out of the pits. 2 debris cautions from Bowyer, 1 wreck into the tire barrier for Bowyer. It has been an uneventful night all of a sudden in the second half of this race for the two. Green flag back in the air. Lap 160 on the restart. About 74 laps to go. Jourdain, another great launch. Junior quickly gets down to the bottom. Looking low underneath the 10 car in turn 2. Can't quite do it. Junior down to the bottom. In turn 3, can't get by Jourdain. 133 car's gotten his track position back with that caution. He was over 3 seconds off the lead after getting knocked into the grass. Now he's back into second, and he's less than a half a second behind Dale Jr. Remember, his caution's not really helping Junior right now because he doesn't have as fresh of tires. Now we have another yellow. This one might be a wreck. Our 6th caution, we've got cautions breeding cautions, and no, it's debris off the 138. His hood has come off now. Well, contact in front of him after the yellow came out between John Hamilton and Bobby Labonte as they were trying to check up. It's like Labonte kind of turned into the 120, about hooked him. Debris bringing out another caution, still outside the window to make it to the end. Ice Demon King 92 Hammer, thanks for tuning in. So again, the leaders will stay out. And we'll head to another restart again. Green flag back in the air. Now Michael Jourdain Jr. benefited that time as he restarted. Got the lap back. Got the quick caution. Jr. trying to get out of the gas. Kenny Wallace right there behind him, the 133. All over the back of the 81 of Dale Jr. Through turns 1 and 2, he's looking for the lead. $70 laps to go on this restart. 10 laps away from that fuel window opening. Junior just past halfway on fuel right now. The 133 lost a little bit of ground as the lap car got around him in turn 3. Junior starting to pull back away again. He's got 2 lappers right in front of him. Kenny Wallace, not sure who the fantasy driver is. They're side by side. It's going to allow Junior to back up the corner. Passes one of them on the inside of Kenny Wallace now. Dale Jr. going for it. Can't get around Kenny Wallace yet. Kenny holding on. Jr. with a big slide. Got into the wall, and that lap car he passed earlier in the lap got back around him, and what a crossover, though, by Dale Jr. as he gets by Kenny Wallace. A little contact with the 22, but he was able to get back around him. Been seeing a lot of debris cautions lately, and maybe we'll see another one. Cautions, breeding cautions, breeding cautions. That breed cautions, yep. Pretty much. This was after about an 80 lap or more green flag run for Bowyer crash, which have brought out 3 debris cautions. And we've had 4 yellows all of a sudden in about a 20 lap stretch, which have slowed this race pace down all of a sudden in what was already going to be a slow-paced race with how long it is on a road course. Dale Jr. stayed ahead of the Carnage all day. He's already locked in the most laps led. That last restart when we went green, he had clinched the most laps led. So 10 bonus points for Earnhardt, trying to get a max points day at Old Spice Speedway for the second time this year. 137 car still down a cylinder. The leaders will catch him over the course of this race. And that pit window is going to open up very soon. Got another 6 or 7 laps. Probably see some drivers short pit. Try to get off strategy as soon as that becomes available. Comment in the chat below, do you think we've seen the last caution today, or do you think we'll have 7 or more? Be interested to see what you guys have to say about it. And we are pulling closer and closer to the finish. Almost a 3-second lead. Ever since Boyer's no longer in second place anymore, Dale Jr. is... I mean, he was a class of the field before. The 2 with the damage he is not going to have anything for Dale Jr. anymore. It's Jr.'s race to lose at this point. Just has to hope Boyer finishes quite a ways back. Still have one more field pass left. Have to imagine the 2 is going to try to repair damage as soon as he makes his final stop. I think we're going to have 9 cautions because the Xfinity race had 9. Okay. Oh, because the 9 won the Xfinity race. Okay, gotcha. I got you. I get your logic. We'll see if that'll be the case. Oh, man, caught the grass a little bit, and that got Junior loose in turn 2. Oh, no! Caution! He was sideways, gets clobbered, and now we have a yellow. He clipped the grass with the left side tires, and that's what got him so loose off turn 2. And the lap car that was trying to get his lap back got to the outside of Junior, and that was a pretty big hit to the right side of Junior's race car. Now we have a yellow with 74 to go, or 64 to go. Our 7th of the race. Junior's got heavy damage. I don't know if these guys can make it on fuel or not to the end. But that is not a caution Dale Jr. wanted to see. He's going to pit. Everybody else looks to be staying out, but it's going to put Junior back in traffic. I guess we'll find out how many cars are actually on the lead lap. So the fuel window not quite open to the end yet because nobody is pitting. So Junior's going to go backwards, but it's still 1 stop left to the end of this race no matter what. And we're going to restart with right around 60 to go. We may see some cars pit immediately after the restart, which could be interesting. Definitely got to repair the right side of the 81 car right now. That was just a freak thing. I mean, we haven't seen Junior go wide off turn 2 today, and that was the first time he'd even touched the grass or the guardrail in that corner. He didn't even touch the guardrail, just got the left sides in the grass and about spun his car out, and in the process of trying to save it, lap car came in and sideswiped him. Junior held control, but the car that hit him initially did not. I believe John Hamilton in the 120 will be the leader now. Green flag back in the air. Just 18 cars on the lead lap. So we get to the restart. Oh, contact right in front of Dale Jr. Stack these guys up on the restart just a bit. This allowed Junior to have a good restart that time. A lot of 2x2 traffic right in front of him. Oh, 3 wide down to the bottom. That's going to be another wreck. That is another wreck that Dale Jr.'s just caused. There's still crinkling fenders behind him, and that is caution number 8. Big hit for the 82. Backed it right into the 137, who was already down a cylinder. That was a hard hit into that concrete wall. More cautions. Continue to breed cautions at Old Spice Speedway. And now we're definitely within the field window. Well, we still might not be within the field window again. And it looks like they're staying out, so still not within the field window. Very close. The last couple cautions still not open. Dale Jr. needs to get a clean restart, though. That's 2 accidents in a row he has caused now all of a sudden in the late going to this race. Still a one-stopper to the finish for everybody in the field. 8 cautions all of a sudden. It is insane what this race has turned into. We had 2 cautions through almost 150 laps. And now all of a sudden we've had 6 more just within about the last 30 to 40 laps. It all started with Clint Boyer ran into the tire barriers at the front of pit road. Then 3 debris cautions, and Earnhardt has caused the last couple spins with contact with another car around him. Flag back in the air. 20 cars on the lead lap now. Junior, the last of which. John Hamilton continues to lead on the restart as the green flag is back in the air. 2x2 is the field on this long straightaway trying to merge. Lane change as they head towards turns 1 and 2. There's a wreck in front of Earnhardt. He's going to have to be careful and try to miss it. A lot of stacking up going on. Got the 137 right in front of him, and he's got a lot of damage to the hood of his race car. Being involved in that last accident. Might see some cars pit any lap here, so gonna have to watch a potential stack up. And we've got a few cars pulling off. It was definitely a stack up. Dale Jr. was able to go to the outside of it. Oh, and he clips the guardrail. Gonna try to stay against it so that way nobody runs into him. 3 wide in turn 8, just up ahead now. And they're still 3 wide off the exit of the corner, and they're 3 wide back where Junior is. Cars are on pit road. Junior's just going to back out of it. He does not want to be 3 wide into turn 1. Oh, man, 1 car off into the grass. Right in front of him. Down to the apron in turn 3. Earnhardt going to go for it in this corner. Probably going to see more cars pitting lap after lap now. At least 1 more car pulling out of line mid-pack. Only a few of them on the lead lap, though a lot of the lap cars have been the ones short pitting. And 19 trying to block. Dale Jr. down low. Into turn 1, side by side. Oh, contact! Junior almost goes around again. He's got to start cleaning it up. He's ran so good, and I think just mental fatigue is starting to settle in this long race. I have to start cleaning it up. Going to look to make the pass in turn 1 this time. He's got the fastest car in the field. He knows he could get back through it at some point. Power slide into turn 3. It's working out for Earnhardt. Picked up 2 positions in that corner, up to 15th. One car way down low. Hopping out of line, making a pass. Dale Jr. follows him. Junior gains a spot on Michael Jourdain Jr. Got the lead back on one of these late race restarts a couple cautions ago. Quarter tank of gas left for the 81 of Dale Jr. right now. Three wide into three. Junior down to the apron. Picks up 2 more spots per position. Caution. Caution is out again. Not sure where at on the track or who, but we'll find out. And it is debris off the 120 of John Hamilton. So caution is out. John Hamilton, I guess, had debris. I don't even know where he had damage from. I don't think he was involved in an accident today. Maybe there was a stack up at the front of the field in the restart when he was restarting in the lead, but whatever the case, that's going to be our 9th caution. And that is going to now bring the field to pit road. For those who have not pitted yet, the window is open to the end. 4 tires and fuel. Final stop of the day, and this one will be the money stop. Just less than 50 to go when this caution came out. We've had 9 cautions, and I think 5 of them have been for debris. Which I'm surprised, because it doesn't seem like there's been that many cars who have gotten in wrecks. There haven't been many vicious accidents either. Chance for the 2 car to try to repair at least a little bit of that damage to the front of the race car. Make some adjustments to try and get it a bit quicker. 81 crew has been fast with their green flag stops today, but this is the first and only time they're going to have to pit during caution. It's his 3rd. Everybody else pitting their 4th time. And everybody else will be on equal tires to the end of the race now. 18.3 second stop, just trying to repair any sort of damage the 81 car would have had. Junior's got the fastest car, though. He's not worried. There's enough laps left. He's just got to stay out of trouble on these restarts as we get more and more the later and later we seem to go into this race. Yeah, and there are cars that already pitted that would have stayed out. I don't think any of them were on the lead lap, although it could be wrong. Green flag going to be back in the air, and Junior right where he was at the time of the caution in 12th. All the lap cars on the inside of the lead lap cars again. John Hamilton won the race off pit road, restarts in the lead after having that debris caution. Junior lost 1 spot initially on the restart, blocking 1 car who is down low. Oh no, he turns! Tony Raines. That wasn't all Junior's fault. I think there were 4 wide going into 1. 1 car peeked out of line late and got underneath Dale Jr. He was trying to give him room. And that backed Tony Raines into that concrete wall hard for caution number 10. And that's going to send Junior backwards in the field a little more. Mentioned he has to survive the restarts. He's got a fast car. He did not survive that one. He was just trying to stay high. Kind of just got sandwiched, really. He was trying to stay high because there was a car that made a late dive into 1 underneath him. And in the process of giving him room, Tony Raines must not have known that they were 3 wide, and they didn't make the corner. They weren't 4 wide, but they were 3. And that is unfortunate because now Junior's going to lose more positions here. I mean, it's a racing deal, but I hooked him. That's all right. We've got the fastest car in the field. I'm not worried about it. There's still 40-plus laps to go right around there on this restart. We'll get through it eventually. Just got to get at least, I mean, we got 3 to 4 laps into the restart the last time. We were running clean after that. But then we had another caution which bunched the field back up again. Something tells me this isn't the last caution either. All right. Green flag back in the air. A lot of cars getting their laps back on the restart, it seems like. That inside lane advantage and the quick yellows following. Lap 190, which means we have 44 laps to go. Dale Jr. in 24th. He's got all the lead lap and lap cars to pass. Equal tires. He's got one more set of tires left at the end of the race if we do get any more late yellows, if he does choose to pit. He's got the fastest car, but if he can get the fastest car with pressure tires, that would help. The 137's up on the outside, really clogging that lane up. 3 wide off the exit of turn 3. Junior able to pick up 6 spots first lap after the restart. With the slow car down at cylinder, holding everybody up in front of him, and Junior was able to miss to the bottom. McMurray hard into the corner behind Junior. He got into him. Saw him coming in hot out of the rear view, and he about hooked the 81. Junior hangs on to it. 21 car of Brandon Miller trying to block Dale Jr. now down on the bottom. Junior just overdrove the corner. Look, the grass didn't lose traction control at least and stays in front of the 64 of McMurray. Dale back to 15th. I think he was in 13th when that last caution came out. Deep dive into turn 8. Locking the front tires up. Junior gaining a bunch of spots right now. Up to 12th. Still have that one more field pass left. Three wide, briefly. Wasn't 3 wide by the exit of the corner, though. Junior was so low on the apron. Even though they were 3 wide, there was a lot of room. Junior cleared the lap car into turn 7. One car really wide, almost off into the grass. Contact up ahead in the middle of the corner as well. Junior stuck on the outside as one car gets underneath him and gets around him. 41 laps to go. John Hamilton leads. Not sure where Clint Boyer's at in the field. Turn 2 into 3. Junior's going to be on the outside in turn 3. Only the second time today that that's going to be the case. Kind of stuck there with all the traffic underneath him. He actually got off the exit of the corner really well. Set himself up to get to the inside and get around a car in turn 7. 3 wide, contact in front of Dale Jr. allowed that stack up to happen, and Dale Jr.'s, as a result, gonna make a couple passes to move back inside the top 10 and up to 9th. He's definitely passed a lot of cars already since the restart. Another spot picked up to P8. Side by side with the 131. Junior going to get room, plenty of it on the outside. And the 135 will be a spot as well. Oh, contact up off the exit of turn 8. Junior clear now on the straightaway. In that 7th place position. Not even to lap 200 yet. It has been a long Busch Series race tonight. Still trudging on. 2.5 plus hours. Still 38 laps to go this time by. Shane Meal just got passed up ahead. Contact Dale Jr. underneath the 108. Side drafts him a little bit. The 108 is a lap down. Jr. will make the pass in turn 1, all clear. Lock the tires up a bit in turn 2. Got a slow car right now trying to get his way to pit road to his bloated engine at the back of the field. That car is able to get to the pits as we continue to stay green. Junior just got body checked off the exit of turn 3 by the car who was on his outside. Likely a battle for position that car is trying to hang on. Not going to know who just DNF'd from this race. We can only hope it's Clint Boyer with all the damage he's had. Caution. Again. Our 11th yellow of the race now. And we'll stack them up again. It's debris off the 137 car. Probably the front bumper cover has come off. And we'll stack them up another time. My goodness. Is this going to be the final caution? Junior's made his way too far up through the field now. He's got a set of tires left, but he's not going to use it. Track position's going to matter. Boyer's still in the race. It looks like he's actually rallied up to third with all the damage on his car as we set up for yet another restart. Green flag back in the air. All the lap cars again to the inside of the lead lap cars. Dale Jr. going to get to the bottom pretty quickly. Good restart for the 81. John Hamilton continues to lead at the front of the field. Junior to the inside. Into turn 1 on one of the lap cars. Stack up in turn 2. Got into the back of one of the cars. It looked like the 106, but he keeps it on the racetrack. 3 wide to the bottom. It looks like John Hamilton's going to get around Truex. Truex going back to being a lap down again, and there's Clint Boyer along with Dale Jr. Nose to tail in 5th and 6th. Jr. was in 6th when the caution flag came out. Still on that same positioning. Boyer looking low. Jr. looking lower. He gets into Boyer. Contact as they're 4 wide in turn 8. More contact now with Bobby Labonte as Labonte goes wide. Junior's up to 3rd. Boyer's still riding around without a hood and a front bumper cover. Once Dale Jr. gets around Truex, we're going to take that second and final field pass of the race. I think J.J. Yaley's the second place car right now, and obviously, again, John Hamilton is the leader. Lap car on the inside in turn 7. Truex was on the inside there as well. He'll be on the outside now in turn 8. Truex's car bottoming out a bit. Junior to the inside of Truex. So next time by, we'll switch to Martin Truex Jr. in the 8. Assuming Dale will get around him this lap. Turn 1. He is going to clear him. Oh, jeez. Mowed the wall down in turn 2. Stays in front of the 8, but he's going to lose time to the top 2. He's got plenty of time. 30 laps to go this time by to still catch him. Truex stuck on the outside as Bobby Labonte looking to get around him. Truex has lost the free pass position as well to the 108 car, who's a lap down that has gotten in front of him. As long as Truex stays in front of Boyer when they get through turn 8 this time, we'll see how this will play out. Right in front of him. Gonna drop back and let a couple of these cars by. There is Boyer. Truex backed off a little too much. Now he's going to have to get back around the 2. Boyer already upset with Martin Truex Jr. from earlier in the race. Boyer trying to hook the 8. I don't know why. I understand why he's upset, but Truex never initiated any sort of contact. Truex got to get in front of the 2. Oh, Truex into the inside, or Boyer rather, into the inside wall. Boyer off in the grass. Oh, contact 3. Oh, one car hooked. That's going to bring out a... Oh, big wreck. Big wreck. The 135 just sends it into the corner, 3 wide underneath Truex and Boyer, and that causes a stack up right in front of the 2 car. Caution's out for the 12th time. And Truex is going to have to pit. I don't know why. I don't know what that 134 car was doing, but he absolutely sent it Boyer and Truex were so far wide into the corner as it was, and he had so much room on the bottom and used up probably 3 or 4 lanes of traffic, and that caused an accident. Our 12th caution of the race at Old Spice Speedway. All but 5 of the cautions have been for debris. 4.9 seconds of damage, it looks like, on the 8 of Truex, who had quite a bit from that wreck. JC1424, thanks for tuning into the stream. A little late going. Buff out those scratches on the 8 of Truex. He was already a lap down. He was just trying to hold up the 2 car a little bit more. Now he's going to have to find him. Still have 2 full laps to race with him with that caution coming out. And we'll go back to Dale Jr. the rest of the race. Boyer's had his struggles today, but even with those struggles, I think he is still inside the top 10. It looks like he's about 6th or 7th on the restart. Truex is going to restart just a couple cars to the inside of Boyer, with a lot of them getting their laps back. Green flag back in the air. Here we go again. Another late race restart with about 25 laps to go. Dale Jr. still sitting in 3rd. Boyer gets down to the bottom pretty quickly. I like how the 135's a rival now, even though that was all his fault bringing out that last caution. But here we go. Boyer taking a swing at Truex. Truex right in front of Boyer. He's going to park it. Boyer's got a 166-point lead right now. Truex trying to let everybody go except for the 2. This is going to stack him up. Boyer into the back of the 8. This is costing him positions. There were 24 cars on the lead lap last I knew of. This is costing Boyer a lot of time. Boyer's trying to move the 8. He is upset. I don't blame him. Truex trying to help his teammate as much as possible in the points scenario. He's probably going to try to wreck us. Oh, jeez. He's trying to get around. Not able to do it. Oh, jeez. That's okay. He deserves it. We've been in a long season rivalry between the 81 and the 2, so probably doesn't deserve it today necessarily, but he's so far back. As long as we don't get another caution, it's all going to end up all right. Truex is going to get back in front of him again. Oh. And Boyer with the crossover off turn 3. Truex is already a lap down. So be it. Go back to Dale Jr. this time by. These guys are almost a lap down. That's how far back Martin Truex Jr. held up Clint Boyer. So if it stays green to the end of the race, there is no chance at all that Clint Boyer is going to be gaining any more positions. 2.5 seconds off the lead as Dale Jr. trying to run down the leaders. He's had the fastest car in the field all race. He's had a lot of cautions that have kind of stagnated his pathway through the field, but big dive in turn 3. Going to get around a couple lap cars. He's already 1.9 seconds off the lead. And the last 2 cars in front of him are John Hamilton and J.J. Yaley, who are both on the lead lap at 1st and 2nd. And we still have 21 laps to go this time by. We'll lock up with the tires in turn 8. Junior pushing hard. Lost a little bit of time with that lockup, though. It's okay. He's so good in turn 3 that I think that's all that's really going to matter. Had so many caution laps. These guys have barely even really used their tires during this final fuel and tire stint of the race. I don't even know that we're going to stay green to the end at this point. That'd be the one thing that would be the equalizer in Junior not winning this race, is just seeing caution after caution after caution. I don't want to see another wreck unless Boyer's the one wrecking out. Junior gets the win. He's definitely going to be less than 100 points out of first with 3 races to go into Texas on Monday night. Junior with the dive, side by side briefly with J.J. Yaley. Yaley couldn't throw the block at all either. Earnhardt stays alongside. They're closing in on the 137, almost contact in turn 7. The 137 slowing down John Hamilton in turn 8. Hamilton is losing quite a bit of his lead. And now Junior's going to use the 137 to get by J.J. Yaley and clear him. The 137 without his hood right now. Down a cylinder after blowing an engine, coming back out on the racetrack. And Dale Jr. up to second, right in line behind the 120 of John Hamilton. Into turn 3. Goes down to the apron, pulls up, clear, clean pass. Earnhardt in the lead with 19 to go at Old Spice Speedway. Dominating race for Junior. Now he's back out in front, hoping it stays green to the end so he can win the race. And potentially lap Clint Boyer. In case there's a caution, maybe Boyer would lose even more spots on a restart. Hamilton not done yet with the charge. Closed in on Earnhardt. Looking to gap him though in turn 3. Nine-tenths of a second ahead now. That's the separation needed. Put less pressure on the 81. We saw just 2 cautions in the first 150 laps. I did not think we were going to see that many yellows all of a sudden. Just coming out repeatedly. The end of the race. And we were only around 2 of them, so I mean, it wasn't like it was causing a bunch of wrecks. A lot of the debris cautions were coming out even before those 2 yellows I was involved in. The race just got flipped upside down out of pure randomness. Truex was able to get in front of Boyer finally and held him up on that last restart. Boyer's going to need a caution to have a shot to gain any sort of positions before the end of the race, but it's going to have to be potentially before he loses a lap. Junior's running a pace quick enough that he could get to him. And if a caution comes out with 10 or less laps to go, all the lap cars would line up behind the lead lap cars, which would help Dale Jr. even more. DEI 1-2 right now. If you're talking about points, not necessarily. Second and third right now. Clint Boyer's got a 166-point lead coming into the race today. He has had an insane season. He's won 8 races. And it seems like every other race I win of the 10, he's finishing right there in second. He's only had 2 DNFs all season, too. Which, we haven't had any DNFs in the Truck or Busch series. We're just having an incredible year. Had a fast car today, but he got into a couple accidents that slowed him up a bit. He was starting to fall back into the back half of the top 10, as we saw before that last restart. Trucks held him back even more. In the race, no. No, not at all. Truex he was a lap down on that last restart. Oh my gosh. I don't know where that slide came from. I haven't really been loose in that corner at all today, so that was very odd. I just got a little bit out of the groove. Now John Hamilton's in second in the 120. J.J. Haley third. Truex was a lap down on the restart, so another incentive to might as well hold up Boyer, who was on the lead lap. Oh, well, that's not what we wanted. Caution's out again. Our 13th caution of the race. Another debris yellow. A couple drivers ran it over. The 131, his hood has fallen off. And we're going to get a restart with less than 10 laps to go at Old Spice Speedway. I had a feeling with all the cautions we've seen late in this race that we haven't seen the last one. A lot of cars with damage out there, and this might not even be the final restart. It's the only thing that really stands in the way of Dale Jr. losing this race. He's got speed to get back around him even if he loses the lead on a restart. Lap cars will line up to the inside of the lead lap cars, even though we have 9 to go in the restart. Green flag back in the air. John Hamilton into the left rear corner panel. Dale Jr. trying to go 3 wide up the middle initially. Jr. going to hang on to it, but now he's got a lot of lap cars underneath him. Jr.'s going to be on the outside into turn 1. Hamilton with the charge, side by side for the lead. Junior overruns the corner. He's in the wall on the bottom, and now he's going to lose the lead and second place to Bobby Labonte. He'll cross Labonte over, 4th second into turn 3, and John Hamilton is back in the lead at Old Spice Speedway. He put Dale Jr. in a really tight situation. Junior made a mistake, and Hamilton leads now, but he's got a lot of lap cars around him still. Still time for Junior to get back into this. He's got to get through this heavy traffic, though. He's got 3 lap cars between himself and John Hamilton. One of the lap cars tried to block him there. Junior is going to be on the inside into turn 1. All clear. He's got side-by-side lap traffic in front of him again. He's going to look to the bottom. John Hamilton gets moved out of the way by a lap car, and Dale Jr. is going to get back to the lead in turn 3. Almost, at least. John Hamilton still alongside the 81, and they're side by side. Jr. not quite clear yet. Still door to door. Into turn 8. Earnhardt with the advantage down low. Hamilton up high. Earnhardt locks the tires up. Lap car, the 108 in the way. I believe we have 7 laps to go. Junior has led that last lap. He's on the inside of the 108 car into turn 1. Not going to be able to clear him. 108 down low in turn 2. Little contact between the 184 and Dale Jr. Jr. pressing hard. He really wants to get around this 108. Finally does in turn 3. One more lap car still up ahead, but it's going to be a couple laps probably before he catches him. 6/10 of a second lead. Junior somewhat survived the last restart. It wasn't perfect by any means, but he has fought back to the lead. I'm just trying to pull away. 6 laps remaining. I want to secure this win. I'm not worried about Truex right now. Truex has, I mean, unless Bowyer DNFs in probably 2 of the last 4 races, there's no chance Truex is going to have a shot to even get past Bowyer in points. So I'm more worried about Dale Jr. trying to get the title. That's what we kind of came into the season to do. I only do a couple field passes a race just for the sake of doing something different, I guess, with this game versus prior EA Sports games we played on the channel. It means we have that option now. I didn't even realize, I forgot John Hamilton's without a hood and he's still running as fast as he is. 5 laps to go. And Junior has had the fastest car in the field. Need that. That's halfway through the field run, so these tires kind of getting some wear on them. You're closing in on the lap car ahead of him. I think it. I don't know who this is. It's 106. I thought it was a 131 for a second. I was gonna say that was the car that just brought out the last caution, but it's not. I'm gonna try not to lock the brakes up into turn 8 that time. Allows him to roll back into the throttle a bit quicker and picked up from his lap time from before. That caution's good for Bowyer, though, at the back of the field. It gives him a chance to try and pick up more spots, which is not what Dale Jr. wanted to see. Jr. looked low, but not quite close enough to make the move on this last lap car. 0.8 of a second ahead of John Hamilton. They'll come to 3 laps to go this time by. And Dale Jr. not that far away from win number 11 on the season and getting the sweep, winning all 3 road course races on the year. Still held up behind the lap car. Lost 0.1 of a second. They may catch the 137 before the end of the race, who is, again, down a cylinder. And also without a hood. It's probably a handful of cars are without a hood in this race right now. They're going to try to get underneath the 108 in turn 3 this time. 106 rather, and got underneath him. And he is clear, I think. Yep, he is clear. Can protect that bottom lane. Into turn 8 that time. Dang it. Back in the gas a bit too soon. 2 to go. I don't know why this lap car is trying to get back on the lead lap so badly. And battling Dale Jr. is allowing John Hamilton to close the gap just a bit. 1.5 laps to go. If they get to the final lap, no cautions will come out. Jr. pulls the 106 car a bit in turn 3. Hamilton still stuck behind him. And they'll be coming to the white flag. 13 cautions in the race. We will not get another one. And Dale Jr. will catch the 137 car on the final lap. At least I believe he will. Final lap of the race. Hamilton has gotten by the 106 in turn 8. He's got 0.7 of a second to try and gain on the final lap if he's going to catch Dale Jr. He's got 8 turns to go. Less than 1.5 miles left. Good set of corners for Jr. Didn't really slide the tires hardly at all that time. His best corner, turn 3 coming up. It's going to be a great chance to get by the 137 in this corner. Doesn't clear him, but now he'll clear him into turn 4, so that's going to be all she wrote. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to win his 13th race of the season. A wild one late at the Old Spice Speedway, but he'll hang on. He'll close that points gap down on Clint Bowyer with 3 races to go in our full season points championship, and Jr. is a winner again as he wins the Dairyland 350. Time for a burnout across the bridge. Massive day on points. It's a max points day at that for Dale Jr. Leading the most laps, winning the race. I might have said 13th win of the year. It's the 11th win of the year. Bad calculations, I guess. I can't even see. This is a heck of a burn. This might be the best burnout in this game I think I've ever done. I finally hit the wall. I couldn't even see there for a second. That was pretty good. I guess after 11 wins, you kind of get the hang of it after a while. But good win for Dale Jr. Let's go. Clutch win for Earnhardt. Trying to get his third career Busch Series championship. Led 137 of the 233 laps today. 4 hours, 23 minutes. This was a long race. 39 caution laps, 13 cautions total. And we were just 2 cautions away from the most cautions in a single race in the Busch Series season, which was set on another road course at Watkins Glen. Something about these road course races on this game. There's a lot of AI-related accidents. Today was another one of those cases. I was only involved in 2. So, not blaming myself for all those yellows, that's for certain. John Hamilton ends up leading 47 laps. He led more laps than what I thought he did. Ends up finishing in second place today. Bobby Labonte finishes third. J.J. Yaley fourth. Tony Raines rounds out the top 5. Raines came back from a wreck. Aaron Crocker, 6th, solid day, led a lap during green flag pit stops. Peterson, highest running fantasy driver, outside of John Hamilton at least, finishes 7th. Irvin 8th. Kenny Wallace 9th. Michael Jourdain Jr. rounds out the top 10. Time to see where Clint Boyer and Martin Truex Jr. finished. Boyer ends up 19th. He did gain spots on that last restart. He would have restarted with 9 laps to go, last car in the lead lap, which would have been 23rd. And he ended up gaining 4 spots on that final restart to get to 19. So that caution did help him, because otherwise he would have finished 23rd today. Saves him, 12 points? That could be the difference in him winning the title or not. How tight it's looking like it may come down the stretch. 41 laps led for Boyer, which was actually the 3rd most today. Hamilton leading a lot late during all those cautions. Truex ends up 1 lap down in 31st. He led 2 laps during green flag pit stops as well. The good news is J.J. Yaley DNF'd, and he was 4th in points. He blew an engine earlier, so I think Truex should still be 3rd. Somebody blew up on the first lap. I had no clue that even happened. Marshall DNF'd. George Norton, Shane Neal blew an engine, I guess. Lance Trigger blew an engine in the 133, so it's unfortunate the Old Spice car DNF'd at the Old Spice Speedway. He was having a good day, though, prior to that. Running in 2nd. Reed blew an engine. Taylor blew an engine. That was it. Quite a few engine failures. Considering it was a 350-mile road course race, I'm not surprised. Looked like 7 drivers DNF'd today. And actually, 6 DNF'd. I don't know what the name is of the guy in the 137, but he would have finished just many, many laps down. I don't know which one of them he was. But I guess he technically finished, but had some sort of an engine issue. Well, it's a good thing Boyer wrecked and lost all that track position on top of it. He wouldn't have finished that far back without the help of Truex, but he probably would have finished right around 10th, give or take a few positions. So he lost a few extra spots in there. Still finished on the lead lap, even with the whatever sheet metal he had left on the car there at the end of the race. He had a couple debris cautions after he ran into the tire barriers earlier. I mean, that was just dumb luck that happened for our sake. That took him out of contention to win, because that knocked a lot of speed out of his car, because he was looking competitive there. It was the Dale Jr. Clint Boyer show once again this year, but that wreck definitely costed him, and that was the beginning of a downward spiral in the second half of the race for Boyer, which relegated him to 19th, which means he finished outside the top 10, I think, in all 3 road course races this year. So I knew that was a chance that we could have caught up in the points. That was the case, even as strong as Boyer was early on. But going back to some ovals, Boyer's been really good on the mile-and-a-half tracks. We still have 2 more left this season. It's going to be tough. 87 points out of first with 3 races to go. I'm not counting us out. We were, at one point, almost I think we were like 529 points out of first, like after the first 11 or 12 races this year. 20 races later, we have just gone on an absolute hot streak. Just to put in perspective, I've only finished outside the top 10 3 times since the 11th race of the year at Darlington, and that 11th race I finished 13th. We have just gone on a tear. So Darlington, I would have to assume after Darlington or after Dago, where I finished 25th, which was the 10th race of the year, that was when I was about 529 points out of first. And that's because at the start of the year, I was 37th at Daytona, 36th at California, because I ran out of gas late in that one. That was a fuel mileage race. Daytona, I just stink at in this game. I always find myself in the big one, or something stupid happens that caution comes out that traps me a lap down. It's always something different every time we go to Daytona. Vegas, I don't know what happened there, but I finished 40th. And 42nd at Bristol, I ran out of gas with like 4 laps to go there while running in the top 5. Had a couple fuel mileage calculation errors at the beginning of the season. That was when I was still trying to get used to this game, too, after not playing it in a while. Forgot how lack of grip these cars had, especially on the 1.5 miles in this game. That's probably why I had that bad finish at Vegas. Even Atlanta was 17th. But what a comeback this season. I mean, this is going to be the greatest championship comeback of all time if I could pull this off. I mean, we have to be... most people would have counted me out, being 529 points out after about the first 10 or 11 races. Well, we kept digging. Since the 12th race at Richmond, first, then 6th, 6th, 1st, 3rd, 1st, 39th, 30th, which wasn't good. Daytona was 39th again, no surprise there. But after that, and then rough finish at Chicagoland, 1st at New Hampshire, 7th at the UPS Speedway, 1st at Old Spice, 5th at IRP, 1st at Watkins Glen, 7th at Michigan, 1st at Bristol, 13th at California, 1st Dover, 1st at Kansas. Dover was a big one because I stunk at Dover pretty much in all 3 series, but I somehow got that win in the Busch Series race. 9th at Charlotte. 9th at Kansas. The win was at Richmond, Dover. But 9th, a couple races ago, 3rd at Charlotte, and now a win at Old Spice. What a 20-race stretch. We have cut it down from about 529 out of first to 87 with 3 races to go. Do not count Dale Jr. out of it yet. We're still going to need a little bit of luck. Boyer's probably going to have one finish outside the top 10 yet in these last 3 races. He did it tonight, though. He finished 19th. So, don't count the eggs, all the eggs before they hatch. Don't, what's the saying? I don't think that was the saying. Don't count, I don't know, something about chickens and eggs. I can't think. This was a long race. My brain is mentally taxed after this one. Fortunately, Truex finishing outside the top 30. He did lose 2 spots in points today. I thought oh no, Yaley didn't blow an engine, my bad. I forgot he finished top 5. I thought he blew an engine earlier in the race, and then it must have been a fantasy car that looked like Yaley, paint scheme wise. So Yaley was up there in the top 5 late. So never mind on Yaley DNFing. I guess Truex is back to 5th. John Hamilton obviously finished 2nd, had a good run despite damage on his car. Truex still has a shot at 3rd, though. Look at how far back 3rd on back is. I mean, this has been a 2-horse race for the championship for the entire second half of the year. And that's one thing. We were like 200, 250 points out of first pretty much the entire last, 10 races or so until a couple races ago. We finally got down to about 150 out. Then we were hovering around 150 to 180 out of first for about a handful of races. And then today we took another big step forward. So it's just every now and then Boyer has a bad finish, but it's few and far between. Championship season on video for the Let's... I don't know. We still got to win the championship, yeah, but what a comeback. It's taken... I mean, this was the first time we kind of used manipulation from Truex to kind of hold Boyer back. So a lot of that points gain leading up to this point, the over 400 points we came back, that was just pure domination. Boyer had 2 DNFs in there, but still, I mean, only 2 DNFs on the season. We're right there. We're right there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I will see you guys tomorrow evening. Live race commentary of the Southern 500 at Darlington. Round of 16 opener for the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. our pre-race again, 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. I hope to have the predictions video for the playoffs, as far as my predictions for the playoffs, up on the channel tomorrow as well. So a little bit of a doubleheader, I guess, of some sorts tomorrow, all dealing with the real-life cup race. Again, kickstarting the playoffs. 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. See you then. Next NASCAR 06 live stream will be on Monday night. Actually, it might be Monday afternoon, considering it's Labor Day. I'm not sure on the start time yet, but it'll be sometime Monday, and it'll be Texas for the Busch Series. Third to last race of the season. Do it for Dale Series race. Won't want to miss it. Points battle heating up going into Texas, and I mean, where did we finish? Won the truck race, finished 5th in the cup race at Texas. So I think we can have a good car and potentially one that could win. Thanks, everybody. See you guys tomorrow night, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening.